You know that moment when the light changes, same room, same window, nothing objectively different, and something in you just drops. Not sadness exactly, a quiet weight, a familiar one. You scan your life for a reason and find nothing. Everything's fine, but your body has already registered the season and it's responding before your mind can explain why. People know about winter depression, the darkness, the cold, but almost nobody talks about getting sad in summer or in spring, the seasons that are supposed to be happy. And if you felt that, you've probably wondered if something is wrong with you. It's not. There's more going on here than people realize. You might be one of the more perceptive people in any room, not as a compliment, but as a description of how your nervous system actually works. Your body picks up environmental signals others filter out. The heaviness isn't random, it isn't broken. It's a sensitivity that, once you understand it, tells you something real. Let's start with what nobody says out loud. Seasonal sadness isn't a mood, it's a physical event. Your body runs on internal clocks calibrated by light, not just brightness, but the angle, the color temperature, how long it lasts. Your skin, eyes, and brain measure this constantly below awareness. When seasons shift, that input changes. And for a nervous system attuned to those signals, the transition isn't neutral, it's felt. Recalibration registers as fatigue, melancholy, or a diffuse sadness with no obvious source. This isn't weakness. A finely tuned instrument picks up frequencies a less sensitive one doesn't. Your heaviness when autumn arrives, or when winter drags towards spring, is your body doing what it evolved to do. The problem isn't the sensitivity, the problem is nobody told you it was real. Most people know seasonal affective disorder, the winter kind, shorter days, depressed mood. It's in the DSM. Fewer know there's a documented summer pattern version, reverse SAD, and it's real. The symptoms differ: agitation instead of lethargy, insomnia instead of oversleeping, but the mechanism is related. For some, extended daylight and heat act as a physiological stressor. Temperature regulation strains, sleep degrades, cortisol shifts. The result is a low grade depressive state. Most people, including the person experiencing it, never connect to the season because summer is supposed to be happy. Norman Rosenthal, who identified SAD in the 1980s, documented patients who worsened in summer. It's less studied, less discussed, but documented. If summer has ever felt like something to survive, worth paying attention. But it's not just biology. Seasons change the social script. Summer comes with attacks nobody lists. You're supposed to be outside, at the barbecue, the beach, the rooftop. You're supposed to post proof. Sunshine equals obligation, and if you're not out there soaking it up, you're failing, wasting it, ungrateful. Winter doesn't make that demand. Winter gives you permission to stay in, read, move slowly. Nobody judges you for being inside when it's freezing. If you already struggle with the visibility and compulsory enjoyment summer demands, if the constant exposure exhausts you, the season itself becomes a quiet antagonist. Not because it's bad, because it expects something you can't easily give. And spring? Spring is renewal, fresh starts, energy, and if you don't feel renewed, the gap between your internal state and the cultural mood becomes another layer of weight. Here's the short version of the neuroscience. People differ meaningfully in how much sensory input their nervous system can process before it tips into strain. Some systems are wide open filters. They take in light, temperature, barometric pressure, ambient noise, social expectation, all of it. They can't not process it. This isn't choice, it's a trait distributed across the population. Summer maximizes input: bright light, heat, noise, crowds, extended daylight disrupting sleep. For a nervous system already processing more than average, summer isn't energizing. It's overwhelming. The fatigue that follows isn't laziness, it's a system at capacity. Winter reduces input, the world quiets. And for that same nervous system, The reduction feels less like deprivation and more like relief. The question isn't which season you prefer, it's how much input your system can handle before it starts to hurt. But I want to push past the science because the clinical explanation is a little too tidy. The reality is weirder. There are people who don't fit any diagnosis but still feel it, that unmistakable internal shift when the external weather changes. And what they share is a specific relationship with memory. Certain seasons are memory dense, they carry associations so deep, your body accesses them before your mind can. A particular quality of October light might recall a loss from years ago in that same light. Summer might mean loneliness from childhood, long empty days, no one around. Spring might carry the residue of a disruption, a move, a breakup, so that left its fingerprint on the season itself. Your body remembers the season before your mind names the memory. The sadness arrives first, the reason arrives later, and I'm or never. And you're left thinking it's for no reason. There's more going on here than people realize. There's also the kind of person who notices seasons at all. People affected by seasonal shifts often track things others ignore. The exact quality of morning light in September, the first day the air smells different, the angle of the sun against a wall. This isn't moodiness, it's a cognitive style, depth over breadth, absorption over scanning. But here's where it becomes more personal. There's a version of you that exists in summer, social, active, visibly happy, and a version that emerges in quieter months, reflective, interior, honest about what you actually want. For some, those barely conflict. For others, the gap is enormous and painful. If your most authentic self comes forward when the world quiets, when demands drop and you can think clearly about who you actually are, then the bright, loud, demanding seasons don't just exhaust you. They make you feel like you've lost access to yourself. And when that happens every year, at the same time, your body learns to anticipate it. The sadness isn't just about the present, it's anticipatory grief for the self you're about to lose again. None of this means people who thrive in summer are wrong. Some bodies genuinely need heat and light. The culture has historically been built for them, which is why people with seasonal sensitivity often move through the world feeling slightly out of step. If you've watched this far, I'd be willing to bet you know exactly what I'm talking about. People who get sad in certain seasons aren't broken, they're not making it up. A lot of them have spent years inside environments calibrated for someone else's nervous system, someone else's appetite, someone else's definition of a good time. And for part of the year, the world reorganizes around everyone else's rhythm while you wonder why yours feels so different. The answer isn't that you're doing it wrong. The answer is that your body is tracking more than most. And the heaviness isn't a malfunction. Your sadness has a reason. It always did. If any part of this felt familiar in a way you've never quite put into words, sit with that. And if you're interested in exploring more of what's happening beneath the surface, consider subscribing. Share the season that hits you hardest in the comments. I read them.